In front of me is the epic Seceda mountain and its legendary sky meadows, often regarded by influencers as an absolute gem of the Dolomites. However, how does it really stack up? And is it worth your time and money to come here? Well, let's find out. Good morning everybody and welcome back to my Gateway to the Dolomites series. Now of course I know you watched part 1 where we hung out in this excellent city of Bolzano talking about its food, culture and Audeze the Iceman. However, now for part 2 we need to leave the cities and towns behind as we check out one of the gems of the Dolomites, Seceda. It should only be about a 45-minute drive to the closest town to Seceda, Audeze, and from there we'll park up right next to the cable car and begin our adventure. Alright, so we finally made it to the parking lot here at the foothills of Seceda. Now for the parking situation, it's absolutely crazy. We got here at 10 o'clock. I know that's not super early and almost all the spots are full. So you might need to be here a little bit earlier than us or lucky in the parking. And definitely bring a small car if you can. The town of Audeze that we just drove through as well looks really cute and we'll definitely be checking that out later. At least though, once you get all settled, the line moves really quickly. But for now, let's get out into those hills and see if it holds up. All right, so that's one of 2 gondolas down. The logistics for this, pretty easy, though kind of expensive. For 2 people, return trips, that was 70 euros. Now, first gondola, absolutely lovely. I've seen a lot of people hiking it. I could be convinced to hike back down. However, this second gondola, if you don't like these things, if heights bother you, this one's a bit more daunting. So once you get up here, how is it? Well, Seceda is fantastic. That mountain, it's beautiful. The meadows falling into those dramatic cliffs, it completely lives up to all of the Instagram hype, that's for sure. In fact, if you were to spend all that money just to come up here, grab a beer behind us and bask in these views for a few hours, well, I have seen worse deals in Alpine mountains, that's for sure. And if you're not into hiking or any of that, you could probably still have a good time. However, that doesn't have to be the case up here. Unlike the Zugspitze and the Schafbergbahn, where that's all you can do, you come up here and you go back down, this is more like the Karwendelspitze, but then even more some from that. There are tons of hikes and all kinds of sport options up here, and in fact, Camille has found a 3-hour loop hike that should take us to some berghuttes. That's where I'm gonna get my drink. It should be a lot of fun, but to be honest with you, this high altitude hiking freaks me out a little bit. So we'll see how we do. Okay, so here we are at kind of our first trail intersection. We've only been walking for about 10 minutes, though what a 10 minutes it's been. And for a lot of people, the baskers of you out there, this is kind of as far as many people will go. They'll go along that major ridge line, get all of those epic views, and then come back the way we just came, or come the way we came and go back for those epic views. A tight little circle that maybe takes 20-25 minutes. However, I'm saving that until the end. The best views, apparently, until last. Instead, we're going to keep going down further into the valley, find those berghuttes, and see if it's really worth going on a bit more of an extended jaunt. Let's keep going. And it never ceases to amaze me that when you're doing these high alpine hikes, you're never too far from a cow pasture. I mean, what a dramatic backdrop for some dairy. I also absolutely love the sound of their bells. Iconic. Alright, so we're a nigh on slow hour into the hike so far, and we've made it to the very difficult to pronounce but incredibly beautiful Piero Lungia rock. It's really fantastic. And also, our first refugio or berghütte that I've actually considered stopping at. You can see tons of families behind me just relaxing in these rolling hills. It's a great place to just sit, relax, and take in this amazing valley. You know, if you were to hike just from the cable car to here, seeing those ridge views along the way, I think you'd consider that a pretty good job well done, but not me. We've got 45 more minutes to get to the next berghütte, and I think that is where I'm actually gonna have a stop and a rest. I'll see you there. Okay, hold on that, not putting the camera down just yet, because my word, walking back around the Piero Lungia is so amazing. And in fact, for the very brave of you, there are very daunting switchbacks going right the way to the top. Not for me, maybe for you. Now, back on the trail. This is just such a truly stunning hike. I'm really loving it. To say I was nervous earlier, need not be. And now you don't need to be either. You know how worth it is. Alright, so we've officially made it to the Regensburger Hütte, classically a little bit behind schedule. However, I think it's going to be completely worth it because this place is looking really good. As opposed to the other Hütte, which mostly was just a beer and pretzel stand, this place has a full menu. And I'm excited for that.
So all around the Alps are these things called berghüttes in German, or I guess in Italian, refugios, and they're just dotted all around the place, and there'll be signs pointing to them saying how you get there and how long it will take.
Right.
So the idea is that you hike for a couple hours, have lunch, a really, really good lunch usually with some beer,
Right.
and then you continue on your way. So it's a really, really nice way of enjoying the Alps, right? And I was really surprised when we came from the United States because this thing does not exist.
Oh, not at all.
But I really, really like it.
Yeah, they're fantastic. And as you saw, we've already passed one. We've already skipped a few, but I'm glad we waited for this one. It looks really good. So, how was your meal?
It was really good. I got mushroom pasta. It was so good.
I had a bread dumpling full of ham and covered in butter. Perfect for when you're doing so much exercise. Otherwise, I don't think I could eat something quite so heavy. But having a proper hearty meal, well worth it. I mean, because of all the exercise, I think some of my favorite meals I've ever had have been at Hüttes. But there's something about all that exercise and all that butter that somehow make it work. All right, so my time at the berghütte is done, and it was an absolute blast. I love those things. But now it's time to get serious. Why? Well, one of the unfortunate things about the Seceda cable car is that the last one is at 5:30. This might not sound too bad, but it's 3:30 now. Again, not too bad, until you realize the rest of this hike is gonna take an hour and a half. So we need to get going. Hopefully, if we can make good time, we can still see those views that we missed at the beginning, but I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. Regardless, I'll see you at the cable car. Have I mentioned how much I love all the Alpine cows? I feel like I have, but it's worth mentioning again. All right, so here we are, back marveling at the wondrous mountain of Seceda and standing right on the peak of a pretty daunting gondola ride back down. Luckily for me, though not for you guys, when I actually put the camera down and focus on hiking, I can make good time. Though honestly, I must say, that was pretty difficult. The last part of that hike was only elevation with no breaks, no stops, and absolutely no flat spots to rest and recuperate on. It was all the way. So if you're not a particularly avid hiker, would I recommend that guest house? Probably not. I'd probably say just stick to the wonderful tourist loop if your vertigo can handle it, and possibly also consider going down to the Piero Lungia rocks. I think the Hütte over there was a pretty good balance for what I think most people could do without ending up with too much elevation or getting too sweaty. So we've arrived with 30 minutes to spare, back right on schedule. We actually also managed to fit in the extra bit of elevation to go along that tourist path. I didn't get to show it to you. For me though, I'll give you my final thoughts later. I'm gonna go get in a game of ping pong before the gondola arrives. But here's some drone footage. Okay, so before we get to Audeze, I really want to summarize that hike in voiceover as well, recording our thoughts on location. Well, we ran into some problems.
Disappointed.
Oh my god. It's paused. It is swinging so much in its paws. Okay. You don't know how fast you're going until you come to a complete stop. Needless to say, I absolutely loved this hike and was just blown away by Seceda. I've watched a ton of other YouTubers come here and, well, you know, while they did indeed take some great photos of that main Instagram shot, very original, no one ever showed me how much there truly is to do. So I took the risk of coming up here myself, as I just knew that with everything I've learned about alpine culture, there is no way there wouldn't be more stuff up here. And boy did I, but especially Camille, who chose our hike today, nail it. So in sum, Seceda is just so much more than a simple viewpoint. It so thankfully isn't just an overrun tourist commodity. Oh no, no, no. This is hiking paradise. Seceda has real alpine culture for you to find along its myriad of paths and at its amazing Berghütte beer gardens. This is alpine hiking paradise, made perfectly accessible to beginners and prepared to reward you for every single step you dare take beyond that beaten path. Now, with my rant concluded, let's get to town. So it's really weird, but if you came here by car, you can keep and stay parked in the Seceda parking lot where the Seilbahn was, and you can use this moving walkway to get down into town. Strange. Okay, I know it's gonna sound really silly, and I was acting silly, but as far as public works go, connecting the cable car of Seceda, which is the major tourist attraction, with those moving walkways and escalators to the old town, I mean, they've kind of convinced me to go here. I was about to just go back home to Bolzano. I'm feeling so tired and lazy after all that hiking, but now I'm here. So after a good walk around Audeze, what do I think? Well, it's kind of like Wolfgangersee back in my Adults Coming Out series, if you remember that. They've kind of turned up all of the Alpine dials to 11, crammed every corner they can with a souvenir shop, and in pursuit of that, they've lost some of the authenticity that perhaps was once here.
Yeah, that's kind of what I feared. I saw a lot of the travel videos that I watched. People would go up to Seceda for like a couple hours and then come down here, and it's just like really touristy from what I saw in the videos.
Right. I mean, I'm not that much of a humbug that I'm going to say we won't have a nice time. I'm sure we will. So I'm going to put the camera down, get myself a drink, try to enjoy it as best I can. Credit where due though, Audeze does have some pretty cool bars with some good ambiance. However, I am far too full for dinner. I'm still completely stuffed after that hearty meal in the Hütte, so I think just a drink and a snack will do me just fine. And I think it'll do this video as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe, comment if you feel so inclined, but most importantly, stick around because here's a sneak peek of part 3 of the vacation, where we go to the Road of Castles. Okay, All right, it started. And also, it started slowly. I was worried it was going to start as abrupt as it stopped.
The first thought I had was, we've played with God too much. Because like 2 months ago, I read an article where some gondola just like...
No, I don't want to hear about it.
It
I
fell
don't want to hear about it.
and everybody died.
Why did you tell me about it?
And
Why did
it's
you
been
do
in
that?
the back of my mind all day. I'm not normally nervous about this kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Thanks for telling me and everyone at home.